So this is the ingredients for my clam chowder, and consists of clams, obviously, and these are the big 3-pound cans here, but I'm only going to be using about maybe about half of that or a third of that, and then half and half, or what's preferred is heavy cream. Not half and half, but you can always thicken this up any way you want with a little bit of starch or whatever, and or milk if you want a little bit thinner. And then I got potatoes, I've got celery, I've got garlic, and I like scallions chopped up in there too, and bacon. And I'll show you the process of all this very shortly. Very easy. It's a recipe that I actually created myself over 25 plus years ago when I got out here to Oregon, and just experimentation, and it's probably one of the best in the world. And so that's about it for now. So what I've done here is I put my bacon inside of a deep pan, and I get a little bit of steam here, but sauteed up the bacon with the onion and the celery for about 10-12 minutes, and I just recently added the potato here. And this potato, it doesn't have to be completely soft because we're going to be adding our clam juices, and with the clam juices it's going to soften up the rest of these vegetables, and it will soak up all the flavor of the clam juices. And from there we'll add the clams, and I'll explain more later. So I just recently added the clams to the potatoes, the celery, the onions, and scallions. And you can see the clams on top. I didn't stir them in yet. But you can see the clam broth in here as well. And these potatoes were cut up, probably about the size of a dime, anywhere between a dime and about maybe inch size, somewhere around there. Kind of like old-fashioned hash browns. So that they cook in really good. So all my ingredients, along with the clam broth, potatoes, bacon, celery, onion, and the clams themselves, have been cooking for about 15 minutes inside the clam broth. And the potatoes are soft and starting to break down, and adding starch to the broth. Now when this cools, and only when it cools, at least to maybe almost room temperature, then I'm going to go ahead and add the cream and the milk, and I'm also going to be adding unsalted butter, which is, I prefer Land O'Lakes because of there's natural salt already inside of the clam broth, the bacon, and you don't need no more salt really. So this is the end result right here. I just topped it with a little bit of crushed black pepper and some of the butter that I was talking about earlier. And you can see the consistency of the soup. Potatoes, vegetables, celery, onion, and of course clams. And one thing I wanted to mention is when you cook your potatoes, your celery, and onions, etc., do not ever try and add it with the cream to cook it or the milk to cook it, because you will burn it and the milk will curdle on you. The proper way to do it is with the clam broth, and then you bring down the temperature, and then you add your cream or your milk. And if you want it any thicker, add a splash of starch to it. So I decided to thicken up the chowder just a little bit more, and I'm using an Argo cornstarch, and all I did was add about a tablespoon or so to a little bit of maybe about a half a cup of milk. Cold milk. Never ever add starch to hot soup or anything you're trying to thicken, because it will cake up, and you'll have nothing but a big muddy mess for your all the work that you did. So always mix your starch in something that's cold, and you'll have great results. And don't forget to add unsalted butter on top. In fact, I've made my own butter, and it's very easy to make, just time consuming. But that's another video. You see here that the chowder thickened up a lot more than what it was. Some people like it thinner. Some people like it on a heavier side of thickness. So I will leave it up to y'all. But like I said, make sure that starch is mixed properly with a cold fluid such as milk, water, whatever, but something that's compatible with what you're making. So that's about it. Hope you enjoy.